Hey guys, and welcome to JavaScript tutorial of a calculator. The calculator you guys are looking at is actually developed using CSS, HTML, and JavaScript. So let me show you guys how this works. You can just add up whatever, then multiply it by. Okay, we can even divide there. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take you guys straight into JavaScript development environment. And we put one of these together. So let's do that now, guys. So I'm going to start a new project, but first of all, let me just let you guys know I'm going to be using document type. That's going to be HTML. So that's HTML. There we go. All right, document type HTML, like you can see. So I'm going to come down underneath here and let's just define my HTML right there. HTML, and the language is going to be English based. Okay, lang, that is going to be equals EN. That stands for the English. All right, so now underneath here, I'm going to specify head there. Okay. I'm also going to add the metadata. So in this case of the metadata, I'm going to say the meta, that's going to be character set. This character set is going to be equals UTF. So, and that's going to be the unicorn transform format. And I'm going to make the character of the uniform transform format. I will make that 8. There we go. All right. I will also give it a title. It's a title that is going to be JavaScript. Or let's just call it calculator. There we go. Or JavaScript calculator. There. And so title. That's fine. Next, I'm going to now specify the cascading style sheet. Say style, that's going to be as follows. And body for this calculator itself, it's going to be, let's close that here. I'm just going to call that, let's start with the background. And that is going to be white. The background that I'm talking about is just the entire body of the system. So it's going to be white. Let's say hash FF 6Fs. Semicolon. Right. I'm also going to specify the font I intend to use, the font family. That is going to be, let's make that area. And then sun. There we go. Next, the display type, I'm going to make that flex. Flex means we can just drag the system anyhow we want. Let me show you the example of what I'm talking about. See here, I can just drag it. See that? Flex. Okay. All right. So that's what we're going to be working on. So what we have to specify flex. And I also want to justify its center, because if you look at this one, it's dead center. As you can see, it's dead center. So I'm going to specify that, let's say justify, and that is going to be the content, the center. There we go. All right, so align So the item, that should be item. That will be center as well. There we go. And the height. I'm going to make the item part with none. 100 vertical height. Before I go any further, you can see the whole thing is just stack. I'm going to change the language so that you guys can see that I'm working with HTML, JavaScript, and CSS. So let's go to language right here. Click on language, and you see where we have H. I'm going to select HTML. There, you see it's changed. But before I go any further, I might as well save it as well. Let's save it as. Just going to call it calculator all py. Or calculator py yp yt. My second channel. Okay, that's fine. Saved now. So the next thing that I want to do now is, since all of this is defined, I might as well just create the calculator here. Let's say calculator. So the calculator, I just want to define the body and how everything is going to look like now. So I'm going to say the background color for this calculator is going to be maybe a little bit dark or a little bit lighter. There we go. Now we'll make that, I set the green. Yeah. Then the padding. Now we'll make that about. Next is going to be the border. That is border that will be for border radius. That's going to be 10 as well. Then the width. I'm going to make the width about, let's go about 480. Now, I need to take care of the display. Okay, so in the case of the display, let's do one thing. Okay, let me just pull that display and display the background color. I want to make that black. Let's change it maybe to white, but I'll leave it as black for now. So black will be 0. Then the color, I'm going to make that white. We say that is going to be white. Next, and the fonts, the font style for that is going to be, it's a font size. That's, I will make that about 4. Line to the right, align, next align. I want it to align to the right. Then padding, make that about 10. So that's the space between the text and the object itself. Then make the border about 5. Change that to 5. As border around the text itself. Then merge, I want it to list bottom, bottom, and that is going to be 10 pixels. Then overflow, we could just make that auto, overflow auto, then with something to drag it along anyway, if it's auto. So this Z axis. So let's enter automatic in the auto. There we go. Yeah, that should take care of that. I'm also going to put together some CSS for the buttons that I intend to use. So right underneath here, I'm going to say button. Right down here, let's say dot buttons. Let's move next to it. And that is going to be display. Display grid is going to be about, yeah, we just made it display. Okay, let's say display. Then once this grid to take for say template, grid template, that's column, columns. That is going to be, it's going to repeat times. Okay, the gap between these, let's make it 10 pixels. I also need to take care of that off. I need to take care of the bottom, the gap in between the font size, the border, and so on. Maybe we just grab all of something. I'm gonna grab say buttons, button, yeah, start with adding. See, size, make it about 2 point something. It's going to be 2.2. You can always increase that. Border, there's not going to be any border. So I can just say border radius. That will be about 5 pixels. Then the cursor is going to be the background color. So something a little bit grayish. So let's, and the color is going to be that white. Okay. That. Okay, that is done. Now let's take care of mover when the button is on top of an object. I want it to just indicate movement. Let's say that's button. Okay, so let's put it here. So when the button hover around an object, I want you to change the color. So I'm going to say in this case the background color. Make that about a little bit lighter. Let's say it's going to be 555. Right, that is fine. And the next one is I'm going to create another one for operator. So I'm going to copy all of these, the button operator that I intend to use. Place that underneath there. So that's going to be button operator. And the back color for that is going to be say 888. Button operator. Then we also need, let's change this to X. Next one is going to be for the button mover itself. We can make that 888. Okay, button operator mover. Is that done? And that ends the style. That is for my style sheet completed. So have a good look at that, guys. Okay, all of these style sheet, I will then start using them in the button. So right underneath here, that. There we go. And I'm also going to, I'm going to open up a body. Body is buttons itself and so on. Okay. Now For the buttons, I actually need to divide them in a way, because it's going to be, let's make it 4 by 4. So copy this and just right here. That. I'm also going to might as well end my HTML. Okay, inside the body, I'm going to need a script. So let's script here. Let's close that script as well. That's nice. Okay, let's go ahead and take care of the buttons first. Right here underneath here. Yeah. So let's start by saying divide. We have 1, 2. I'm going to make that about 4. So in this place, this one is going to be for the class. Okay, this is going to be divided. That will be the class called calculator. That is going to be calculator. And the first class is the next class that is going to be for the display. So for that class was display. And this display we have an ID. So let's say ID is going to be equals display. ID equals display. And the first value being at 0. And so the next is going to be a class for the button. So let's create one for buttons. Dump that in there. And this is going to be for buttons. Smooth that nice there. Okay, that is fine. All right. Next, I'm going to create button class itself. So the button class we use an operator. So let's come down here and just say button class. That is going to be equals. I will call that operator. That's going to be for the operators that I intend to, the plus sign and so on. And it's going to be using an event, like events. And this event, that will be for what I'll call the backspace. Okay, I will have a backspace in there. Backspace, we use the following sign, which you can always copy. And copy that in Word. Is that in there? And let's close off this button itself. So that's for the backspace button taken care of. Next, we need to take care of clear. I can copy this. It's going to be using this same thing. The functions. Right, this is going to be for clear display. So this is going to be a function that I'll create. This function is going to be known as clear display. So function clear display, let's use lowercase. So function backspace, function clear display. And the next one is going to be for the buttons, a number buttons. So append, let's say, let's just call it append numbers. There we go, append numbers. And this append numbers, we're going to need it for this as well. We're going to be using function append numbers. And then inside this very function append numbers, I'm going to add some brackets in there. So first one is going to be bracket. So that's the very first one. And okay, enter the sign here. That's for the very first bracket. Yeah, that is correct. Then here as well, 2 brackets and 1 in there. That would be the opposite bracket. So far, I've created 4 buttons in here. Right, so let's come down here and wait a minute. We can just have a look at this button. Let me save it and open up. Yeah, there we go. Double click on that. There we go. Look at the 4 buttons, but this one should be C. Okay, let's change that to C. Where is it? It's right here. Here it is. This is 3. It's a C. Save. Let's get it refreshed. There we go. That is fine. Minimize. And next, let's add some buttons, the numeric buttons. So I'm going to grab hold of these append numbers. Again, is that in here? Let's take care of one first. Get rid of this. And number, the first number is going to be 7. So right in here, enter 7. And in here, let's change that to 7. And the first one taken care of. Copy. Paste. Then we'll have 8. 8 again. So this should be 9. This is 9. The operator is, and just change the operator. Right. I'm going to be using the class of operator as well. Then and numbers, just change this here to the plus sign. Here we get plus sign. So the first numeric row is taken care of. Let's go back in there and just see it. Let's refresh. There we go. Look at that. Okay, so minimize that. Let's just copy and paste the rest. Copy down here, paste, and here is going to be 4, 5, 4, 5, 6, 1, 2, 3. There. So let's change this to subtract. Subtract, and in here we change that to multiply. Now we can just enter X in here. Right. So let's save that and run. Back in there, refresh. There we go. Okay, we now need 0, decimal, and equals. Okay, I'm going to also copy and just dump it in there. Copy all of this again. Paste. So this is going to be for 0. 0 here, decimal, equals here. The case of the equals, so I'm going to have to write a function for that one. And here, let's change this. Let's give it a function of its own. This function is going to be called, let's just call it update result. Okay. Update result, that's a function, and this very function going to be this, and underneath here, this is going to be for division. division right there. That's the division sign there. Yeah. Now I'm going to save that. Let's run it. Refresh. There we go. Okay, guys. All right. Everything seems to be in place. So what we then need now is to get the system working. Okay, let's bring this up. Okay, guys. So now let's start work with the. First of all, let's close this, and we also need to close another one. Then we'll start work with the script itself. So let's create a constant in here. Right underneath here, I'm going to say constant display, and that is going to be equals document dot get elements by ID. And first one is going to be the display. Now that is done. Now let's take care of this one. Append numbers. Grab all of that, come right down here. And now I'm just going to create a function there. Function append numbers. And this function append numbers is going to take in by value. Okay. Now, using an if statement, if display, say if display dot input text inner text that is equals 0. Then inner text will be equals else if else display equals plus inner text. Inner text. Right, so that's taken care of. If you guys notice, this function has already been called right here. Look at it. All of those functions. So now I'm assigning values to them. All right. Now that that is done, let's take care of the backspace. The backspace do have its own function called function backspace. There, that is it right there. Okay, and it's click event that we're using for those as well. So come right down here, function backspace, and that is going to be. Now, in the case of function backspace, I'm going to say constant current. Okay, let's say constant variable current equals display. Say display dot input, and if constant current dot length if is greater than 1 dot length if is greater than display it's going to be equals length current slide size. That is clear of that. Enter. All right. That is clear of that. Next, let's take care of clear. Let's see what is that function called. Clear display this below. Okay. Right down here. Clear display. The case of function clear display. There we go. Set it back to that. That's taken care of. Now, we also need to take care of update results, which is right here, this very one. That is for the equals, right down here. We're going to be using try here with this function update result. So try, and let's enter a hash here as well. To the E. All right. Now, in that case, if this one is valid, then I want it to use an evaluate the value, evaluate the value that is displayed in inner text there. Else, display.inner text will be equals an error. Inner text, that will be an error. There we go. Okay, so let's close this. Yeah. Well, just save that and try this out. That's it. Calculator Y people. There we go. Look at that, guys. Let's check out the backspace. Yeah. And multiply that by 5. There. You see that, guys? That is how this brilliant calculator works. All right, let me show you guys the lines of codes. That's for the lines of code for the cascading style sheet. Bring it down and down. There we go, guys. And if you're a member of the channel, you can always send me a message and I'll forward these lines of code to you guys. All right. So with that, I'm going to be calling it the end of this brilliant tutorial in JavaScript. I presume you guys enjoy it, and I'll be coming back with more JavaScript tutorial for you guys. All right, so let's run it one more time. Refresh. So I'm going to say bye for now. You all have a nice day.